Good morning.
How are you all doing?
We're great. How are you?
Good. Okay, so how many of you have ever visited any country in Africa? A few, constituting 15% of my survey. There is generally a gloomy perception about Africa, as shown by the media. But has any of you taken the initiative to research Africa for yourselves? Don't worry. That is why I'm here today, to inform you about the beautiful continent. According to my survey, 90% of you are interested or somewhat interested about this topic. I hope as I stand here, none of you is branding me as an African ambassador, because I'm not. However, I was born and raised in Ghana, West Africa, where I lived most part of my life, up until I came to this country a few years ago. I have also traveled to other countries in Africa and have had the opportunity to learn about the various cultures. And for the purpose of this speech, I have done research on this topic as well. There is no continent more blessed with resources and natural beauty and diversity than the African motherland. Do not ask me about the lions and monkeys, because there is more to this exotic continent than you would ever imagine. Because according to my survey, one of you had mentioned when they think of Africa, they think of lions and monkeys. But for the purpose of this speech, I will talk about 2 points. I will talk about the beautiful places in Africa and the diverse culture. Africa is a continent made up of 54 nations with varying tribes and culture. Now that I have spoken a little about Africa, let me talk about some of the beautiful must-see places in Africa. According to my survey conducted of the class, 89% of you do not know any tourist sites in Africa. First, I'll talk about the Victoria Falls. According to an article written on the Culturetrip.com by Matthew Keeks, Victoria Falls was named by the explorer David Livingstone for Queen Victoria. But its native African name is more expressive, which is Musi Aitunyai, which means that the smoke that tenders. And this is in reference to the rumbling and immense spray that the falls generates. According to this article from the culturetrip.com, the fall has a width of 1,700 meters and a depth of 108 meters. The falls is twice the height of Niagara Falls and is surrounded by a beautiful savanna. Also is the Pyramid of Giza. We sometimes overlook how extraordinary the Pyramid of Giza is because of the many images of them is a commonplace today. It is a masterpiece of work done by thousands and thousands of laborers. The pyramid and the Sphinx of Giza is considered a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and they are known to the Asians as the wonder of the world. According to the article on the culturetrip.com, the Giza complex just outside Cairo on the fringes of the Libyan desert is sublime and mysterious. They are built to house the dead pharaohs and all the items they would need to rule the afterlife. Now that I have talked about some of the beautiful places in Africa, I would like to speak on the culture, including the diverse language, the food, and the clothing. According to my survey, 77% of you have no knowledge of Africa or its culture. Africa is the home to an extraordinarily diverse number of ethnic culture. The continent's cultural regeneration has also been an integral aspect of post-independence nation building on the continent, with a recognition of the need to harness the cultural resources of Africa and to enrich the process of education, which requires the creation of an enabling environment in a number of ways. First, I'll talk about the diverse language. According to Joseph H. Greenberg, who wrote the article The Language of Africa, which was published October 2009, stated that the main ethno-linguistic division in Africa are Afro-Asiatic, Niger-Congo, and most of the sub-Saharan Africa, Nilo-Saharan in parts of the Sahara, and the Seychelles of parts of the Eastern Africa. According to the Languages of Africa article, the continent of Africa speaks hundreds of languages, and if the dialects spoken by the various ethnic groups are included, the number is even higher. According to the Languages of Africa article, most of the prominent languages are Arabic, Swahili, and Hausa. Several other languages coexist, and some Africans speak various European languages such as Portuguese, English, Spanish, and French. The average African speaks about 2 to 3 different languages. Secondly, I will talk about the food. According to Paula Wolford, who is an author of dozens of books on Mediterranean food and wrote the article The Food of North Africa, stated the various cuisines of Africa use a combination of locally available fruits, cereal, grains, and vegetables, as well as milk and meat products. In Central Africa, the basic ingredients are plantains and cassava. Cassava plants are also consumed and cooked as grains. Beef and chicken are favorite meat dishes, but game preparation including monkeys, antelopes, and others are served occasionally. A typical West African meal is heavy with starchy items meat and spices. This includes fufu, banku and kenke, couscous and gari alongside soups and stews. These are a few of the African dishes. Lastly, I'll talk about the clothing. Most women's traditional clothes in Ethiopia are made from clothes called the shima and are used to make habasha. The garment is basically cotton cloth about 90 centimeters wide, woven in long strips, which are then sewn together. Other clothes include the kente, which is, this is the last picture is the kente, which is very popular among the people of West Africa. It is identified by its dazzling multicolors, patterns of bright colors, geometric shapes, and bold designs. According to the author Kwesi Kunedu, who wrote the article Indigenous Medicine and Knowledge in Africa Society, the kente symbolizes prestige, hence worn on special occasions such as weddings, birthday, and major milestones. Now that I have talked about the beautiful places and the diverse culture, let me end by saying Africa is blessed in abundance with natural beauty and wealth, plants, rainforests, and desert. Africa has influenced many global cultures and been influenced by other continents as well. This is seen in the willingness to adapt to the ever-changing modern world while preserving her indigenous culture. Thank you.